what's on our radar screen moving forward for management. Like all the lakes, particularly Lake Huron that we heard from this week, and Lake Michigan, these lakes are changing before our eyes. There's questions about whether our fish community objectives and our expectations for the lake are achievable. Some comments about maybe changing our fish community objectives to match more what the capacity of the lake is. So those are going to be discussions. We have folks that have been around a while, like Tom Gorenflow, who look at our fish community objectives as goals for the lake, and we shouldn't lose those goals. So our expectations, although not achievable now, may be still what we want to see in the lake. So we are challenged with that as we look at our fish community objectives and whether we want to make adjustments to those or not. So I'm going to start with our planktivore objective. Obviously, you saw the talks yesterday. We are not achieving this. The productivity of the lake is down. Given from trachinid mussels, productivity is down, and we're just not able to achieve this expectation. So it begs the question, is it appropriate? Do we want to look at another number for that? Management-wise, we're seeing bottom-up and top-down pressures on our prey. So there's a lot of questions out there what to do. Our main management lever is stocking. So are we going to reduce predators to reduce the pressure on these prey fishes? So with these questions, the committee decided to get some help with this. We started a new lower trophic level task group, which is led by Bo Winall. I think he's here. There's Bo. And hopefully they can gather information about what we know now about lower trophic levels in the lakes, help us understand where the research needs so we can get some more priority for that research, and just see what we have in terms of how we can predict what the capacity of the lake is. Really helping our understanding of where we need to be, where we can expect prey to be, and what we need to do to manage the predators to match that. There's questions on Cisco. We heard about Cisco rehabilitation in Lake Michigan. They're starting to do that on their own. What role will Cisco play in the new prey in the lake system? The salmoning objective, for the last couple of years, we've been below our targets for harvest. Again, that begs the question, should we make changes with that or maintain them? There's at least interest to look at other things than just harvest. With harvest, you can have a change in effort, which can obviously change the numbers there. So we might be looking at abundance estimates with harvest or replacing our harvest estimates or expectations. Obviously, we will be evaluating stocking again. We saw the predator-prey ratio from Nick. We're at that line where we need to seriously start talking about reductions in predators, and that's mainly Chinook salmon. So if we're going to maintain alewife out there, we got to look at Chinook again. So it could be our fourth reduction in recent time. And some good news, we learned lake trout through the mass marking and through our assessments. We are actually starting to meet strategy goals in the southern part of Lake Michigan. We're seeing natural reproduction. So rehabilitation of lake trout is underway, which is great. We are actually meeting that harvest objective of 20 to 25% lake trout in the lake. So that is good news. With our benthivoride objectives, obviously we're not meeting that for whitefish. We had good discussions for both Lake Huron and Lake Michigan that whitefish recruitment is declining. And why is that? We need to understand that. That's the most important commercial fish that we have in those two lakes. So we need, again, look at is yield appropriate? Do we need to go to an abundance estimate with that as well? Rob Elliott talked about the great work that's going on with sturgeon rehabilitation. stream side rearing and the stocking that's going on around the lake. It's awesome rehabilitation efforts. We'll continue to focus on that, and we can't lose sight of it either. It's going to be 25, 30 years before we actually see positive results from that, or even know if it's working. So we got to stick to it and stay committed to sturgeon rehabilitation. Gobies are a huge question. We see a lot of our predators actually switching to gobies as prey, but we really don't understand what their abundance is out there. We know it's fairly high and it's variable, but we just don't have a good method yet to estimate goby abundance, and that's going to be important, I think, moving forward in how we manage the lake. And our nearshore fish objectives, we had a report on yellow perch and some of these other species. Perch continues to be down, and there's a lot of interest to try to get our perch populations back up. And walleye, smallmouth bass, northern pike, we're actually seeing those populations increase, and that's pretty exciting. Nearshore fisheries are probably the most accessible fisheries that we have in Lake Michigan. We have piers, we have breakwalls, we have marinas that are really close to high populations, and it's an easy access fishery, so we really need to focus in on this and make sure that we continue to provide a good fishery near shore for our anglers. Sea lamprey, we are actually meeting our sea lamprey targets, and the population is going down in Lake Michigan thanks to all the efforts there. Identifying leaks in the Manistee Dam was important to that, and we're addressing that by fixing that dam. Other barriers are going to be important to look at as well. On the Grand River in Grand Rapids, there's the lower barrier there is going to be removed to restore the rapids there, and that has a challenge for us to create a new barrier there to stop lamprey movement. It's a challenge, it's a big river system, and hopefully we'll bring out some new technologies of how we can pass other fishes besides jumping salmonids, maybe pass suckers, walleye, and also stop sea lamprey. So it's an exciting project, and hopefully we can get some great new technology out of that. Still concerned with the use of lampreycides and non-target species. We need to continue to look at that, especially with lake sturgeon, where we're trying to restore lake sturgeon populations, and we're still seeing some non-target issues there, especially in the Manistee and Muskegon River. So work to do there. And to continue to encourage just new technology. There may be new lampreycides out there that we can explore. Pheromones, other types of barriers to stop lamprey and allow other fish species to migrate. So a lot of challenges there with that objective. And with our physical and chemical habitat objective, more focus on this in recent years. We've had some really good GIS modeling projects going on that'll help us understand our habitats and characterize them throughout Lake Michigan, and hopefully it will help us prioritize a little bit more. Most of our efforts been on the tributaries. We're really working hard and doing great things with connectivity, with culvert replacements, dam removals, and I think we need to focus in a little bit more on our near shore, our coastal areas of the Great Lakes, and even reef protection and restoration. And we've seen some of that, especially in Grand Traverse Bay with the reef restoration there. So we are committed to the environmental principles, and we'll continue to work with those, and have recently charged our tech committee to start looking at functional habitats and identifying those for us as part of the plan for the environmental principles. And last, this is our State of the Lake, so the next steps is to summarize these presentations and work them into the actual report. So we'll be working on that. Chuck Medengian will be our editor for this report, and the committee will be working with him to keep this moving forward with the goal to actually have a published report at our meeting in October 2017. And with that, I would like to just thank you for attending our session. Thanks for the committee for a great year. We got a challenging year ahead of us. Thanks to all the presenters that did great presentations throughout the last 2 days. I think it went really well.